Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Liam here from Everything NYJ, and this is the Everything NYJ podcast, episode number 13. Thank you guys for joining me today. And we are in full off-season mode, right? The NFL is. There's so many rumors circulating the internet. There's a lot of hot topics, hot takes, and one of the biggest topics, especially concerning the Jets, is the quarterback position. Are we drafting Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance? Are we going to sign Deshaun Watson? Are we going to trade Sam? Are we going to keep Sam? What's going on, right? So a report came out earlier this week or late last week that Deshaun Watson said that he will accept trades to the Dolphins, the Panthers, and the Jets. I think I speak for 99.9% of the Jets fans when I say that we want Deshaun Watson here. I have spoken in numerous videos, and if you guys follow me on Twitter, I have tweeted about it multiple times. I want Deshaun Watson as our quarterback. Until he says, I will not come to the Jets, or until another team signs him, that is my number one quarterback. That is the guy I want. And I'm excited for it. I still think that we have a very realistic chance of bringing him here. I do. So getting into the video today, I just wanted to go over some of the top landing spots, potentially, for Sam Darnold. If the Jets do decide to move on from him, if they do decide to trade him, where would they trade him to, right? Because we're seeing a lot of trades going around. The Colts are no longer an option, and I know that was a big one. Detroit, that was an option for him. That's gone. Some of these teams are starting to, get their quarterbacks in place. And over the next couple of months, more March and early April, we're going to start seeing a lot of teams starting to form right before the draft. They're going to decide, do we need a quarterback? Or is there somebody we could go out and draft? Is there somebody that fits our system that's already in the league? Because league experience is big, guys. So getting into it a little bit, right? What are some of the top teams that Sam Darnold will potentially go to? Number one on my list, and this is in no particular order. Some of them are more realistic than others. No particular order, just starting off with the Carolina Panthers. I don't think that they want to bring back Teddy Bridgewater for another year. That didn't really work out. Teddy Bridgewater really just serves as kind of like that Josh McCown, Ryan Fitzpatrick, just like a patch quarterback. He's going to be there for a season or two until they could figure out, what direction they want to go in and just stuff like that, right? See what they have, around in the team. If Sam Darnold goes to the Panthers, it makes a lot of sense. Carolina does make a lot of sense, believe it or not, for Sam Darnold. And I didn't realize this at first. I didn't realize how much sense it made until I sat down and really started thinking about it. Obviously, if he goes to Carolina, he will have his number one wide receiver, Robbie Anderson. On the Jets, Sam and Robbie were that 1-2 combo. Robbie was kind of a security blanket for Sam. All Sam really had to do was throw it up there, and Robbie runs his little fly route. He's not a one-trick pony. We did see that. Robbie can run routes. But Sam could just throw it up there and bank on Robbie Anderson catching it. And it's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to watch. Unfortunately, we did not get that same production from Brashad Perryman, who was a cheaper Robbie Anderson. But Robbie and Sam together, I don't know, maybe it's just me, it's a lot of fun to watch. And then, there's going to be other talented players there. DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Christian McCaffrey. Sam Darnold also can flourish in a Matt Rule system. Matt Rule interviewed for the Jets job, and the Jets were close to signing Matt Rule as the next head coach. Obviously, they chose Adam Gase. That was great. But you got to assume that Matt Rule has watched a lot of tape on Sam Darnold and is probably pretty familiar with Sam Darnold. And the more you think about it, the more sense it does make. So, another team, and another big one, a lot of people are talking about this as well, the San Francisco 49ers. Sam will be back in his home state. And his rookie year, he really flourished in that West Coast offense that Kyle Shanahan provides. When people think of the West Coast offense, they think of Kyle Shanahan. They think of the 49ers. Sam, obviously a California kid, likes the warm weather. It won't, he could probably move somewhere in California. I think he lives in California still. I know he does have a place in like New York, but I'm pretty sure, he could just move back in. Probably be nice for him. He could be back with his old friends. And we might start to see, believe it or not, I don't know how true, how real, how possible this is, but we might start to see the original Sam Darnold back. He's back in his home state. Maybe he was a little homesick. I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses, and I don't know if that sounds right to you guys or not. I'm just assuming. But I think Kyle Shanahan could fix Sam Darnold. He'll have a couple weapons. He'll have his tight end, George Kittle. And we know that Sam likes his tight ends. Sam's rookie year, we saw a lot between him and Herndon. And then Sam's second year, we saw a lot between Sam and Ryan Griffin. Sam does like his tight ends. We also have Debo, Samuel, however you say his name, Debo, I'm sorry. It is Debo. It's out of the conference, the 49ers I'm talking about. It's the other side of the country. We really don't have to see Sam, and that's what I want. If we're going to get rid of Sam Darnold, I don't really want to see him. I'm going to root for him. I love Sam. I respect him. He's a good kid, but I don't want to see him. I don't want to be reminded of what we could have had. Let's say we don't get Deshaun Watson and we trade Sam, and then we get somebody like Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, and I'm not knocking these guys, but let's say they don't pan out. And then we see Sam flourishing, he's just having game after game after game, and he's playing great. And then we have to be reminded on what we already had in the building. How many times has this happened to us Jets fans? Robbie Anderson's a perfect example. We had him. We underutilized him. Sam, we failed. Sam has made some really bad mistakes too, but we failed him. And if we see him flourishing in another system, great for him. But I don't want to see him. I just don't want to be reminded on what we could have had. If we trade Sam and get somebody and he's a superstar, great. It's a win-win for both the Jets and whoever team Sam goes for. But I think if there was a coach to fix Sam Darnold, I really do think it would be Kyle Shanahan, guys. Another team, the Washington football team. That seems to make a lot of sense. Alex Smith isn't a long-term answer. The Washington football team is starting to turn things around a little bit. They won the division last season. They finished 7-9. Not great, but they're starting to turn things around. They definitely need a franchise quarterback, and Sam Darnold could be that franchise quarterback. You get the franchise quarterback, now they have more luxury pieces that they can draft. The draft becomes that much easier for them. They could go first round and get that top wide receiver, or they could get a running back, or they could get an offensive lineman. And the better they get, the more complementary pieces they can get. Running back, and other positions like that. Positions that you don't necessarily take in the early rounds of the draft, right? The first, second round. Normally, wide receiver, that's like the first, second round. You could go get a top wide receiver. Running back, that's usually like third round, usually. They can afford to get some really good pieces around Sam Darnold if they have that franchise quarterback. It makes a lot of sense. There's not a lot of talent on that team as it is, but they're a team that's, they're starting to have a vision. They're starting to come together, and they're really not going to be the laughingstock that they once were. Another team that I was thinking about, the Chicago Bears. This could also be an interesting trading situation, scenario, whatever you want to call it. And this is just me thinking. You guys might find it dumb. You guys might not agree. Maybe it's probably not going to happen. But let's just say, hypothetically, we could have fun, right? We could have fun on this channel. Not everything has to be 100% realistic. Let's just say the Jets trade Sam Darnold and a draft pick or picks for Allen Robinson. Because the more I see the Jets signing, or I start thinking about the Jets signing Allen Robinson, I really start to think he doesn't want to come here. He's not going to come here. Allen Robinson wants to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver. He wants to go to a win-now team. He wants to go where he's going to have 1,000-yard seasons. He's going to have multiple 10, 12 touchdowns a season. I don't think he's going to go to the Jets with Sam Darnold there and the way the team is now. The Jets have a big, big future. And especially if we could get Deshaun Watson, Allen Robinson might want to come here. But Allen Robinson is going to be expensive. We can't sign all these top-name players. And to be honest, I would rather have a Joe Thuney than an Allen Robinson. I would. We need to protect the quarterback. We saw that with Sam. Sam got banged up last season. Sam got lit up. That offensive line was not great. We could use another offensive line, a top offensive lineman like Joe Thuney. So yeah, Mitch Trubisky, Nick Foles, they aren't the answer. I don't think the Bears believe in them. I think the Bears would love, absolutely love, to have Sam Darnold on their team. It makes a lot of sense. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, right? So, what is this, number 5? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, number 5 on the list, I have the Saints. And I'm not sure how likely this is because the Saints are in cap hell. But if they could bring in Sam Darnold to compete with Jameis Winston for a starting quarterback role, I think that makes a lot of sense. Is Jameis Winston a starting quarterback? We don't know. He hasn't really been great, but neither has Sam Darnold. I do think that Sam Darnold would win a competition between him and Jameis Winston. I really do believe that. And, there is a lot of talent on that team. Michael Thomas probably won't be there. He's probably going to be gone. But they still have, Alvin Kamara, Jawan Johnson, Emmanuel Sanders. There's a lot of talent on that team. And I do think that Sam Darnold could flourish on that team. Sean Payton is a competent coach. They have a competent coaching staff over there. And that's what Sam needs. A good coaching staff, I think, really could fix Sam Darnold. Kyle Shanahan, Sean Payton. There's a lot of good coaches out there, I think, that would love to work with Sam. Sam's only 23 years old. He has a lot of potential still left in him. He's had a couple rough seasons with the Jets. But it's the Jets, and that's, I hate to say it, but that's how a lot of teams are looking at it. It's the Jets. They fail at everything. They suck at everything. They can't do anything right. Give me this kid. I guarantee you I could turn him around. That's probably what a lot of head coaches are thinking. And another team I was thinking about, Sam Darnold possibly could go here. I've heard a lot of talk about it. The Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think Big Ben is coming back next year. And I know the Steelers have Mason Rudolph and they have Dwayne Haskins, but they're not starting quarterbacks. I really don't think that they are. They're decent backups. They're serviceable backup quarterbacks. And that's a big role if Sam Darnold is going to the Steelers. Because Sam Darnold, 3 years in the NFL, has not completed one full NFL season. That's why I have been saying for years now with the Jets, it is very important to have a good backup. Like Joe Flacco was fine. Do I like Joe Flacco? Not really. He's not the Joe Flacco of old. And I really don't care to see him back next year on the Jets. But he was a good backup quarterback. He was serviceable. And that's what a team who's bringing in Sam Darnold needs. Sam Darnold, unfortunately, like I said, has not completed a season. And he has not proven that he could stay healthy. And Sam Darnold has said it multiple times in interviews and press conferences this past season. Your best ability is availability. If you're not available, you're not going to, obviously you're not playing, and you're just not going to be getting better. And it affects the team if you're not on the field. Another thing is, Sam Darnold could persuade Juju Smith-Schuster to stay with the Steelers. Do I think Juju Smith is going to stay there? I don't think so. But if Sam Darnold comes in, I think that changes a lot. And it may want the Steelers to keep Juju Smith. Obviously, Sam Darnold and Juju played college together. They were in college together. And Juju was Sam's #1 target. And they balled out at USC. And I really think that they would love to play together in the NFL. I wanted Juju Smith to come to the Jets last season. Now, I'm not so sure with the whole TikToks and whatever and dancing. I'm not too crazy about him. I really wouldn't care. I'm not going to cry if he doesn't come to the Jets. Would I mind him coming? I wouldn't mind it, but I'm not going to be upset if he doesn't. I could really care less about him. That really threw me off. I really didn't like that. It really put like a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't really like the whole TikTok thing. But I do see why it makes sense to keep Juju if Sam is going to the Steelers. And if Sam is going to stay a Jet, it would make sense to bring in Juju. I just think that they would love to play together, and it makes a lot of sense to keep him on the Steelers. The Steelers need a quarterback. They don't really have that starting quarterback, and I think Sam could be that starting quarterback. If Big Ben does come back, great. I don't think he's going to, but if he does, then Sam could sit behind him, maybe reflect, maybe learn that system and sit a year. Sam could benefit from sitting a year. He's broken. He's damaged. And one last team that I would absolutely hate this. It's probably not going to happen. 99.9% is not going to happen. But the Patriots. The Patriots have apparently called, I'm seeing a rumor going around the internet, that the Patriots called the Jets asking about Sam Darnold. This makes no sense besides the Patriots do need a quarterback. They don't really have a whole lot of talent on their team this year. They need a quarterback. They do. Cam Newton was atrocious last year. Cam Newton's not coming back. And I think that Bill Belichick would love Sam Darnold. Bill Belichick has actually spoken positively about Sam Darnold. And Bill Belichick, on multiple occasions now, has ruined and wrecked and hurt Sam Darnold. And I think that he wants to be the one to save him. I really think that Bill Belichick would love to have Sam Darnold on that team. Like I said, they don't have a lot of talent. Edelman's probably going to be gone. Tom Brady's obviously gone. Gronkowski. Those days are over. That's the Buccaneers now. They're going to be rebuilding. And I really think that, they're not at a great draft pick number where they can get a top quarterback unless they trade up or trade down or, they got to work some magic. I think Bill Belichick could pull that off, but I think that they would rather have Sam Darnold than a rookie. I would absolutely hate it. I don't think that we should do it unless it's some crazy compensation, absolutely crazy 4 or 5 first-round picks, which it's not going to happen. Sam Darnold is not worth that much. If we could get something crazy from New England, that's the only situation I would do it. Other than that, I don't want it to happen. I would hate that. And I don't think that Joe Douglas would do that. I don't think that Joe Douglas would draft Sam Darnold in the same division. And I just don't think that he would give him off to the Patriots. I don't think he would do that. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for the top landing spots for Sam Darnold. There's one other topic I do want to get to before I go. And a couple days ago, the NFL teams were eligible to franchise tag players. And a big rumor going around is, will the Jets franchise tag Marcus May? Should they? I think they should. I would say that they do. They should do it. The Jets haven't franchise tagged a player since, I believe, Nick Folk. Almost 10 years ago, 10 plus years. It's been a long time. It's been a really long time since the Jets have franchise tagged anybody. And I know Marcus May probably... I think he's worth about $9 million. What's the franchise tag? $10 million or something like that. If Marcus May does want to walk and, see how he would do on other teams, what his value is, because he's not a top safety in the league. I'm sorry, he's not. He's very good on the Jets, and for a long time he was in Jamal Adams' shadow. And I think this year he really did have a breakout year, but he's not a top 3 safety in the league. He's a very good piece, but he's not a top piece. And I really wouldn't mind if we did move on from him. But at some point, we do have to start setting this trend that we do keep our own players. That if you play hard for a team, you're going to get rewarded. If we do franchise tag him, it saves us 1 year, and then we could figure out what we do want to do with him. Maybe he could have lightning in the bottle 1 more year. Maybe he could have another good year. Because Marcus May, he's not a bad player. He's good on the Jets. He's good for what the Jets need him for. He had a couple interceptions, stuff like that. But I don't think a lot of other teams are going to give him big contracts. I just don't see it happening. So, if it was up to me, I would franchise tag him this year. Why not? It doesn't hurt. And then, we'll roll with him 1 more year, and then, come next year, we'll see what happens. We'll see how he does this upcoming season, and then we'll see what his value is next season. So, anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments, or, let me know on Twitter, should the Jets franchise tag Marcus May? And let me know if I'm missing any other teams, or is there another team that I didn't mention? Or do you guys agree, not agree with some of the teams that I did mention that Sam Darnold should possibly be traded to? Let me know what you guys think. Follow me on Twitter at everythingnyj. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot to me. And thank you guys for watching. Have a good night, and go Jets.